Hey guys, welcome back to Investor Space Time, and this is part of our trading series where I talk about one of my successful setups, and we're going to talk about my reasoning behind it, risk management, and the whole goal is to help us get better as traders. By me looking back on this, hopefully I learned something, and hopefully you can learn something from this too. So I'm going to minimize me down. This is just going to be a quick one shot. It's the weekend. And yeah, we traded Airbnb. And Airbnb, man, this trade did really well for me. So I locked in more than 300% profit on this. And actually, sorry, I'm still in this trade, so I'm not necessarily fully locked in. But when you're running about like $3,700 in profit, like that's a really good day. So honestly, I'm really excited to share this one. So let's get started. Airbnb, we have the daily chart on both the left and the right hand side, and we're looking at a very common bullish pattern. This is an ascending triangle pattern. So you can zoom in and talking about what's really going on here with the price action. You have an area of resistance and it gets rejected here once, twice, and a third time. And then you also have an area where there are higher lows being established. So higher low, and higher low. And with the trend lines, usually it's not good to, go strictly based off of this one single line, because you're really not going to get the perfect drawing. Nothing is for certain, and the market is so volatile that as long as you can get the general idea of the price action, it doesn't have to be perfect. So if you can see this ascending triangle, then yeah, kudos to you. Now let's talk about the other catalyst here, and that is going to be earnings. Now, Airbnb had earnings on 11/4 after market, and I think a lot of people were expecting this, and it seemed like a no-brainer to me, but I was anticipating a large move toward the upside, not just because of the price action, but just because of how the global situation with COVID, having vaccinations, and just travel, and how it's just been returning. Like, I'm sure people like you, such as yourselves, are probably traveling more than you thought you would a year ago. And using that fundamental catalyst in addition to this technical catalyst, that seemed like a really good setup. Now, here's where the tricky situation comes in. Earnings, anything can happen. So that's why this trade is inherently very risky, especially if you're holding throughout earnings, especially if you're going to be holding an options contract. Volatility is going to be decreased once the news comes out, and that kills your premium. So you need a large move in the direction that you're predicting to make this work out. Fortunately, that's what happened here, and let's talk more about the trade and talk about my entry point. So looking at this, the more orthodox way of playing an ascending triangle is that you're going to be playing the breakout. Now, I didn't play this orthodox. I was actually very aggressive with this. So I actually entered in on a swing low, which is kind of identified by this area right here. So talking about reasoning behind that trade and why I was comfortable entering there. So one, obviously I was expecting a large move toward the upside and wanted to get in early. And then looking at the price action on the right side, you can see the moving averages are established on this chart. The yellow and the blue line, that is the 9 and the 20 SMA respectively. Over the past few days, that's been serving as a really solid area of support. And any area around that area that the price action hit, like that would have been a really good entry point. So that's actually where I was able to enter. So once again, earnings was on 11/4, which I entered in on 11/3. I'm going to be zooming in on that area now. And I entered in 11/3 at 8:45 a.m. And you'll see a little oval here on where I entered. So I entered in on this candle right over here, and that was kind of near that area of the moving average where it was being supported. So looking at this 170, 171 area, definitely not a perfect entry if you're trying to time it, but you're never gonna get that exact entry point. And I was doing this as a swing trade, so I bought the 200 strike for December. I was giving myself more time on this just because if you look at this ascending triangle chart setup, it hasn't really fully formed out yet. That's a pretty early entry point. So once again, I was being very aggressive, but just because we had a strong catalyst coming, that's why I took that entry point. I would have taken a 30% loss, and that's usually my stop loss on that. Or if I got a break below that moving average, like let's say I got a close on that for the day, then that would have been a good sign that maybe this wasn't serving as the best support, and I would have just taken the loss and move on to the next one. But now I got the move, captured the chunk of it, and did I decide to hold or did I sell off my position? Well, I did a mix of both. So looking at what happened here, let's just zoom in on the right hand side and take a look at the daily chart on the 3-minute. So looking at the price action, we got that large move to the upside. So I entered in at about 172, and then at open, we're already at like 188, 190. And pre-market, we even hit levels of 193, which you can kind of see right here. So those first 15 minutes, definitely going to be very stressful at open because once again, I'm trying to just capture the chunk of the move, and I did that successfully. So why did I decide to stay in the trade? Well, once again, it just comes down to what you're inherently willing to risk. And this is where your greed can kind of take you off the wrong path. But if you stay cool and have a plan for this, of which my plan was just looking for a breakout of the previous high in pre-market, which would have been this area right over here. So if we got that opening range breakout, that is enough for me to want to stay in the trade. And ultimately, it worked out. I did trim my position once I got that breakout. So I did sell 2 contracts with pretty close within open. I think within maybe about an hour to 2 hours of open, I did sell 2 of my contracts, leaving 3 more to run. And yeah, fortunately for me, it worked out really nicely. And right now I have runners that I have until December to hold on to these. So this is kind of the dilemma that I have right here, and maybe I'll make a follow-up on this video. But yeah, just remember to trim your profits, let some runners go, and yeah, that's basically it. So let me know what you thought about this trade. Let me know what you would have done differently, or where you would have taken profits, where you would have entered differently, what you personally would have been looking for. This is supposed to make us better as traders. So hey, thank you guys for watching. Hope you got something out of this, and we'll see you next time.